time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senator Jason York.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Brent Wallace alongside the smartest man in hockey, Jason York. Welcome to Coming In Hot. If you haven't already, maybe smash the like button and subscribe to our little channel, the talk show, if you will. Yorkie, nice to see you. Good morning. The show is always brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Last day of vacation for you.
Last day, yep, and coming home. Is there snow on the ground? Like I heard.
Yes, there is.
How much?
It'll be gone probably a little later, but it's just cold right now. And then on the weekend, I think there's like freezing rain warning, or there's some kind of storm coming just in time for you to get back.
Perfect timing. Perfect. Anyways, I'm good. Yeah. You know what? I watched that game bits and pieces because we had it on out at the restaurant we're at. It was weird, wasn't it? Like watching that game last night because I didn't think Ottawa was terrible. It was one of those games where did they beat themselves in that one, Wally?
Yes.
Did they beat
100%. So
yeah?
Jake Sanderson can't clear the puck. It's regardless if it's a bobbling puck, whatever. He can't clear it. It's zipped over, and Peterka buries it. You can't blame Anton Forsberg, or people are trying. I don't.
No, yeah, no chance. Yeah, no chance on that one. No chance.
The Travis Hamonic, I'll call it the Hamonic debacle behind the net. I don't really think is Forsberg's fault. And that being said, and then JBD walks in and just fires a bullet into the net. Should Forsberg have it? Sure. But why is he allowed to skate in untouched? So all of that being said, I just think they beat themselves. I don't think Anton Forsberg was the reason by any stretch of the imagination.
Poor Hammer. It reminded me of that old commercial. I've fallen and I can't get up. Like, and that goal's not all on Hammer time. Like Zetterland loses this guy behind the net. I think it's Benson behind the net. He spins off him. Zetterland sticks up in the air, and it's so tough to check guys in the league if your sticks up off the ice. That's what makes Amadio so successful. While his stick's always on the puck, he's always disrupting the puck. But anyhow, you're still not a threat from behind the net, and that's the thing. And a lot of defensemen, they don't. That's the worst possible thing you could do is as soon as you leave a dangerous area, the puck's going there. And then for a little bit of a muffin that gets by Forsberg. Unfortunate though, because Ottawa had a lot of, you know what it is? It's early in a game in that first period. Ottawa gets a ton of chances, and you let a team hang around, and then a late goal in the first period by it seems every time Jack Quinn plays against Ottawa, he scores. But you can't come up goose eggs 5-on-5 against one of the worst teams in the league in Buffalo. You got to find a way to score 5-on-5. Power play was great, both units, but 5-on-5.
Let me tell you though. High danger chances, according to Natural Stat Trick, 12-6 for Ottawa.
Yeah, and that should usually be good enough.
Scoring chances 25-15.
Yeah. No,
so
exactly.
They did exactly what they needed to do to win. And every night's not a Picasso. My God, no game is ever perfect. I think they did enough. They just didn't take care of their own end.
They made a couple key mistakes at key moments, and it's uncharacteristic with Jake Sanderson. Like that's the thing. Like even really good players are going to make mistakes from time to time, and Buffalo was very opportunistic in that game. Johnny on the spot, get a chance, score, get a chance, score. But the good news, well, we've got a couple the good news is, hey, we got Craig Anderson coming on the show in about 5 minutes. But also, how about the scoreboard last night? It's almost like there's somebody watching over the Sens right now. Oh, it's the hockey gods, don't worry. Rangers lose, Red Wings lose, Montreal loses. Every single team lost that's chasing Ottawa right now.
Yep.
Very
The
rare,
hockey godettes, I guess.
I don't know if the hockey god needs some luck to shine on his way too, boy. He's been ice cold. Oh.
There's a few, Yorkie.
Yeah, there is.
Like, I know Craig is probably listening, and we're going to tell him it's all goaltending fault when he comes on. But like, I don't like Shane Pinto's game of late. That is for sure.
What don't you like?
I just
What don't you like?
I just think he's fairly invisible. And I understand his role as a checking role. I just think he's been fairly quiet where you need more from him. He's had some, let's say, bad breaks with the tripping, like just some ill-advised penalties and discipline.
For sure. Yeah,
there's something that's off with his game for me right now. All that being said, this team is 7-3 or whatever in its last 10 games.
Yeah, but now they've
lost 3 or 4.
You're 3 or 4. It's amazing how in the media you can paint any AirPod fell out. You can paint any picture you want. So but
okay. Before we get to Andy, did you jump in the pool with your AirPods on? There's a lot of questions I have. Why didn't you move the chair? And people have unanimously voted my jump in the pool in Thailand way better than yours.
Yours, I will say this, yours was better.
You
number one. No, I jumped. Well, as I was in, so number one, as I was in mid-flight, I'm like, shit, it's only 3 feet deep. So I had to lift my legs up in the air to make sure I had a soft landing into the pool. And then I was like, I really like that shirt I had on yesterday. It was my shirt for the day. So it was morning time, Wallace. So I didn't want to get my shirt for the day wet. I had to take the shirt off. And then after I get out of the pool, I'm like, where the heck are my AirPods? And I walk over to the pool, right at the bottom of the pool, sitting there. So I frantically go back in, get them, dry them out all day. Then I did a little test with them, and they're humming in my ears, but they're okay today. But yeah, AirPods were on. It was not a good jump, but there was reasons. Yours was better because number one, you were hammered. Lisa was feeding you G&Ts all night. And it was organic. Things like that work best when they're organic. You can't plan stuff like that.
We got to get to Craig. He looks, as always, as happy to see me as ever. So let's quickly get on with this show. This show brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers. Proudly Canadian, owned and operated since 1972 with more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece Program and unbeatable pricing policy. Check out a large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds. Mine diamonds don't pay until 2026. Apply now for the Charm Diamond and Flexity card. CharmDiamondCenters.com. Chosen forever. Charm Diamond Centers. I also think Andy may have just smiled. Also, think you know hockey. Play Sobeys, my NHL picks, weekly for the chance to win big prizes. A new slate of games opens up every Thursday from now until the end of the regular season. So download the Sobeys app. Pick the winners of 5 NHL games. I went 4-5 because the Sens lost last night. And compete for your chance to win prizes such as Sobeys grocery offers up to 150,000 Scene Plus points, or the grand prize, a trip of 4 to this year's Stanley Cup Finals. Also, we'll get to the Tim Stützle clue later in the show for a free to win a signed Tim Stützle jersey. But for now, the greatest goaltender to ever play for the Ottawa Senators, who sits 33rd all time in the NHL in wins, 319, and one of my best friends, Greg Anderson.
Oh, he slides at it at the end, right? There's no way that's true, Andy. There's no way that's true. First part's true, but are you actually best friends with this guy?
Well, in fantasy land, maybe.
Nice to see you.
Very well, Brent. Very well.
Oh God.
Andy,
I heard you guys have a very interesting relationship that you don't let Wally get away with anything. Like I don't know about you, but he might be the saltiest guy I know, Andy. Like I don't know. Is the Brent Wallace you know? Like who is the Brent Wallace you know?
Oh God.
Brent Wallace will smile till he gets what he wants. He's doing it right now. See? Look at this guy. And he'll just keep asking and asking and then ask again. He usually takes him about 4 tries, but he'll eventually get what he wants.
Is that for 2 years?
Is that how we got? Did you never come on when Wally did this with meth, Andy? Is this your first time?
I came on with meth.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's the last time.
Well, there's always a first time and a last time.
This is going to be great. I dug out your bobblehead and strategically placed it right here for you.
See, step 1, you shouldn't have had to dig it out. It should be front and foremost. If we were best friends, it would have been out there already.
No, I want to make sure nothing
Yeah.
happens to it. So it's preserved in like a glass case, like a little shrine.
As long as it's got like a light shining on it with a shrine.
Okay, so I don't know if we want to talk about last night's game because you are an employee of the Buffalo Sabres as a scout.
Well, the reason why I'm on the show, Brent, why don't you tell everybody?
No,
How did you get Andy on the show? That's what I want to know. There had to be some kind of deal, Wally. What was the deal?
I may not have thought it through completely because last night they played the Buffalo Sabres, as we're well aware, and Andy, as after I asked him to come on, he's like, only if Buffalo wins. And now at this point, it is 1-0 Ottawa, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like, well, Ottawa's going to win this game. Like, I need to know if I have a show guest tomorrow. Anyway, he kept me guessing the entire show, the entire game. So if James Reimer didn't stand on his head last night, Andy wouldn't be here.
Old guys seem to do that against Ottawa.
Yes,
yeah, right. It's crazy. Hey, is that what you're doing now? You're scouting for the Sabres?
Yeah, I'm doing some part-time goalie scouting for them. Just trying to learn that side of the business and try to understand what goes in details of those meetings and the reports, etc. Try to figure that out.
Gotcha. Hey, how I remember when I retired, how tough was it? Because you did it for so long, right? You kind of after a while, you do what you do, and is it like when you're ever talking to, I don't know if they have you talking to young goalies or whatever, like how tough is it to break down what you did for so long? Because it's just habit after a while, right?
Yeah, eventually you get on autopilot, but some of those core memories of faltering and taking a step back to take a couple steps forward, those kind of unique opportunities that I kind of went through are learning curves or stepping stones that I can pass on. So you don't always remember kind of when things were kind of status quo, but you kind of remember the hiccups and some of the main events that kind of shaped your game or shaped your mentality towards getting better or finding a way to get your foot in the door or an opportunity where for me, I went through a lot of ups and downs, but it was the growth from those downs that was enabled me to stay in the league for as long as I did.
When it comes to watching Ottawa, are you happy to see them back in a playoff spot?
Absolutely. So I'm too long.
It has been too long. You were the goaltender the last time they were in the playoffs. What do you think Brady Tkachuk will be like in the playoffs?
Intense. I think that's I think he's already is intense, but I think he's shown another level to that. I think it's kind of family innate between we've seen what Matthew can do at another level in the playoffs. And that's just, I think that's in his DNA for him to elevate his game and his intense level.
Did you know all 3 Tkachuks have scored against you?
That's awesome. Nice. I did not know that.
I love the response.
What about the Cousins? Any of the Cousins score too?
I got to check. I did look up who has the most goals against you just for fun. Do you know who has the most goals against you?
No. I know it's not Ovechkin, so that's good.
Ovechkin has 10. Crosby is 9. So Van Riemsdyk is 10. Jeff Carter is 10. Then it goes Patrice Bergeron and Phil Kessel. They have 12. And then it's Austin Matthews at 14. Craig, did you even try to stop him?
Well, I mean, obviously he'd have a lot more goals this year if I was still playing. Can't really explain last year because he actually went on a tear last year. So I don't have an answer for that. But this year I can say that for whatever reason, I got him off to a hot start with 4. And it just kind of skyrocketed his confidence every time he played against me. He just knew he was going to get one. I think that's the mental side of the game that people don't realize. I think he had the confidence. I think Olli Jokinen had that same thing with John Graham. Every time that we were playing John Graham when I was with Olli, he's like, "Oh, I know I'm getting at least 1 tonight, maybe 2." So confidence, mental side of the game is definitely probably good for Austin when he knew the Sens were coming to town.
Hey, Andy, was there ever any shooters on the other side of things that you just had figured out? Like guys that generally scored a ton, but you just knew this guy ain't scoring on me?
We talking about practice? Because made a lot of angry guys there. In the games? No, you know, I don't think so. I think no, I don't know how to answer that. I don't. There wasn't anything that stands out in my mind that goes, I knew I was going to stop somebody.
Yeah.
No.
You just
So
read. I just remember watching. You seem to read the plays so well. Like you had that great intuition, right, of knowing and just experience, obviously through time that goes. What about practice? Guys you played with in Ottawa, like just guys you
in
would drive nuts.
practice,
Yeah.
pretty much everybody at some point throughout the year. Some guys would just accept it that I just wouldn't butterfly, and I would just kind of do whatever I did. But I guess the argument was I'd sometimes do that in the game. So then you get goalies that always try super hard in practice, and the players love that because they score lots of goals because they know what the goalie's doing. Um, so it's just kind of different. Each guy's gonna be a little bit different, but speaking of Meth was never upset because he was never a goal scorer, so he knew he was never going to score. But then you get guys that think they're goal scorers that when you stop them all the time. I think tough for Ottawa. My most recent memory was probably Casey Middlestat in practice when in Buffalo. He was just he'd always go to the opposite corner where he'd have to shoot at the other end. He would never purposely shoot at the end that I was at. It just frustrated him too much.
That's funny.
Interesting.
That's funny.
So there are two practice players that I've known in your history with Ottawa that I don't know if drove you nuts is the right term. Zach Smith and Mike Hoffman.
Okay.
Would
They're
that
both
be accurate?
lefties?
I think they both had their shots seem to travel a little high.
They had very hard shots. They generally had pretty good control over them, but um, the odd one's going to get away from them. I get that. I mean, I think it's kind of comical because when I actually get on the ice with some of the younger kids and do a little coaching here and there, the first thing I do is hit the goal in the head. So I get that it's not on purpose now, maybe more so than then. But you figure guys in the National Hockey League should be able to control their shots pretty good. But generally speaking, it was they were pretty accurate. The odd one would get away, but those two guys just shot really hard. So in that heat of the moment, you get angry and because it did hurt.
Did you ever want to exchange fisticuffs with a teammate in practice?
Oh gosh, probably not. Maybe the only one that got into it with me was probably Nealer, and I knew I wasn't going to win that one. So generally, I just said I'm sorry or listened to what he had to say, and tried to make some adjustments based on his recommendations.
So he would tell you how to play goal?
I don't know about telling me how to play goal, but definitely probably worked on some moments in my attitude or work ethic, I would say. As it sometimes appears that I was, as you understand, Brent, not always smiling, and that can rub off the wrong way sometimes for some people.
I'm just
you don't have to you don't have to smile every day. Okay, question before I move on to other stuff is goalies. Since 05-06, 34 goalies have played 70 games. Like 70 games now seems like a rarefied air. You played 71 in Colorado, 63, started 71 games, 63 in Ottawa, 60 in Ottawa as well. Why can't goalies play more games?
Oh, speculation here, but you'd have to go back and look at the schedule. But are there more back-to-backs now in the schedule than there were 30 years ago? I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe you know that answer to that one.
I think the season was a bit longer.
I think
sure.
That's longer season, more back-to-backs with travel. I think the game's a lot faster now than it was 30 years ago. between the, even 20, I guess, in 2004 when they changed the clutching and grabbing, right? So the game was much slower, less east-west. Sticks weren't as good. You could be off a night as a goalie and not get exploded for 7 or 8 because generally speaking, the third and fourth line were grinders or physical guys that didn't put a lot of points on the board. So now you've got, first line to fourth line, they all got these the stick technology, and the skill level has all gone up through the years that they've all now been a threat. So you've got 4 lines as a threat, and the mental load as far as staying focused, and there's no shifts off. That's probably attributes to a lot of the time needed off the ice or off to sit on the bench.
So it's a mental game. It's not physical. It's not like you're worn out.
There might be. I mean, yes, there's probably some physical side, but a lot of it's mental.
Yeah.
Physical side wise, the game's east-west. There's a lot more pushes. There's a lot more speed to it. I would say that the guys are in probably better shape now than they were 20, 30 years ago. So, give and take. I think, I don't know what the statistics say of when the last time a goalie had played 70 games and won the Stanley Cup is either, because once you get in the playoffs and you're the guy, you got to play, 16 to 25 games in a span of 2 months.
Right.
Which can take a toll as well. So if you already played 70, then you add another 30 on top of that. That's a lot.
Do you know who scored scored their first goal against you? Or sorry, let me reword that. Do you know who you allowed your first goal against?
Yeah, I do.
And who was that, Craig?
I think it was the guy that was from the what was it, the floor to the scoreboard? Was that the announcer? Paul Correa, one timer.
Yeah, I didn't go back and listen to it. That's funny. I just noticed that
No,
Hall of
well,
Famer.
just when you think of Paul Correa, you think of him
Yeah.
laying on the ice, knocked out, and then he scores that winner. So right, like
Yes. Yes.
which maybe a lot of the people don't know that that happened. But if you go back into history, Paul Correa was absolutely knocked out back when you used to be able to hit guys in the open ice, and it was considered clean, and there was no concussion protocol. But for sure, he was concussed.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, Photo Bomber just came in the background there behind Andy.
Yeah.
Was that your wife that snuck back there?
No, she's gone.
Okay. Hey, you know what's funny, Andy? We had Mike Rupp on the show the other day, and he talked about that hit Korea took from Scott Stevens. And he said when he got on the bus after this game, it's crazy. He goes, Stevens says to Rupper, because I actually let up on that hit. Hey, can you believe that? Because that's one of the hardest hits I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was intense.
So Korea got his first NHL goal against you?
First goal Craig Anderson allowed in the NHL.
No, the first
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Korea. The power play, one timer. Push from my blocker side, my glove side, and the shot went back the other way, went through. I think it went through my armpit of my blocker side. Very holy back then.
Your last goal against was
somebody in Ottawa. I don't know.
Claude Giroux.
Really?
So that's a pretty good way, because he should go in the Hall of Fame. So those are pretty good goal scorers.
That's bookended pretty nicely there.
Yep.
And you got the win in your last game, which, and ironically enough, was against Ottawa. Can we go through this game? What this was like for you?
Sure.
Okay. So
what do you want to know?
When did you make the decision that it was your final season and you knew this game was coming?
When Brady asked if I was going to play another season and I was cramping up in the net.
Fair enough. So
that was like icing on the cake. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I think that was in the second period.
So you go into this game, you hadn't played in a bit. I think you got pulled in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken, or against Nashville.
It might have been a home game against Nashville, possibly. Nashville always gave me trouble.
Well, in fact, how many points does Jason York have in his career against one Craig Anderson?
Whoa, Do we even play against each other?
Yeah.
All right, that's a good question, Wally. I have no
Well,
idea.
You have 1 assist.
What team was I playing for? Nashville?
It was Nashville. Adam Hall scored a power play goal on February 11th, 2004.
Adam Hall.
So
Adam
anyway,
Hall.
sorry. Back to the game. Okay, go ahead, Yorkie.
I just want to know, Andy, how the hell did you play until like? How old were you in your last year? Were you 40? Like, how old were you?
41. 40.
Like
I was 41. Yeah, 23.
Like,
No, what
like
year?
how did you
I don't know.
feel
I
every day
forget.
putting the pads on at age 41? Like, I know I was 37 and my body couldn't take it anymore. Like, how'd you do that?
A lot of time on the trainer's table. Thank goodness we had some good trainers throughout my career, but um, spent a lot of time with both, the massage guy and the athletic therapist as far as exercises, stretches, just body flow. I found that if I was able to get the treatment I needed, I didn't feel that bad on the ice. I mean, later in the day, it definitely caught up to you, but
Yeah.
just kind of, I felt better. I felt better when I didn't have days off.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Just by keeping the body moving, even if it was just a light day, put the stuff on, get out there, 10, 15 minutes was even better than just having a complete day off. So having 2 days off was always a tough to get the furnace back up and firing. But I think I had a pretty good routine that allowed me to, get loose and feel comfortable out there. And generally speaking, I was pretty healthy the last season. The season before, I got kind of ran into and hurt my neck, which set me out for a couple months. But generally speaking, the hips and everything else seemed to be better or seemed to be okay.
Okay, I want to go back to the game. Sorry, I got sidetracked.
All right.
Is that game emotional for you when you're sitting in the locker room preparing for it, or is it all just another game, as players like to use the cliche?
Um, I think going into that game, like I kind of knew the situation. You had UPL. Devin had come out of college and was playing really well, so I kind of knew the situation. I think we had 4 goalies going at the time. We had Comrie there as well, so there was a lot of like uncertainty. Like I was certain, knowing that I wasn't going to play a whole lot once we signed Devin. I think there was some uncertainty between, was Devin playing UPL like there was a lot of uncertainty going on there. And um, and I think my last right before the Nashville game, I think I had like a 50 some saves win in Florida, which kind of jump started our kind of playoff push there when then Devin came in. Devin played great. And I think once we kind of got out of the mix there and lost a couple, I knew kind of Ottawa was circled for my start, even though we had 4 guys. But I didn't know it was my last game. I kind of had a feeling. I kind of knew that the time was kind of up. Like, where would you get another job after this, anyways? Like, so I kind of knew, but I wasn't like, my heart wasn't set on being done. And I think the heart became set on done when I, like I said, in the second period, I cramped up. Brady skated over. He goes, "You gonna play another year?" I go, "No, I think I'm good." So that was kind of the whole play. Like I kind of, you knew it was happening, but you weren't ready to admit defeat. And to this day, I still think I could play, but that's just my brain saying that I can do it, but I know the body can't.
So if they'd have brought the papers out in front of you in the second period, you would have just signed off right there.
Possibly. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, because like when you don't play, I went through this with Washington too a little bit there. So I didn't play all season. I was on the taxi squad, and Vitek Vanacek gets hurt in the first game of playoffs, and I have to go play. And I didn't have the workload all season long. You're not playing in the games. You're not getting the 3 hours of work on the game night. So that initial shock of that load, kind of puts the body into a cramping or injury state. And that was it. Like I practiced for 2 weeks while Devin played during that stretch, and then I was thrown into a game. So the physical overload kind of threw my body into shock, and I think that's why I was cramping. But like I said, when you're doing it every day, and that's why the 2 days off for practices suck, because it's tough to get the body back into it. But when you're in it every day, there was usually no issues.
Does it matter to go out with the win in overtime? Speaking of Casey Middlestad, who scored the winner.
I think it's a feel good moment. It's a nice, storybook ending. I think in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it made the ending better for myself and my teammates to go with the win. I mean, if you lose 5-0 and that's your last game, I feel like for that next 24 or 48 hours, it's pretty sour. But for the 24 or 48 hours after that game, it was bittersweet.
The cool part was I think afterwards, your family's there, Nick and the boys, and they're down at the Zamboni entrance, and Nick gives you the hug. Does she say anything at that moment, or is it just a hug?
No words exchanged, just hugs. I think we all kind of knew where we were going and what we were doing. I think it was just a good moment to just take in, and a lot of times big moments don't need words.
Fair enough. Is there any chance that she was hoping you'd play another year now that she's had you around for a couple?
I don't
know. Being honored back in Ottawa, what was that like for you? Because you didn't get a chance basically to say goodbye. So they bring you back and you get honored. Is it a special moment?
I think it was. I think it was needed for not only myself, but also for the fan base, and maybe management or staff that had been there for years. It just felt like it was the right place to be. And, I think it's, listen, I spent 10 years in Ottawa. My heart's there. I feel like I bleed black and red now. I guess it's black and red, but I bleed Ottawa Senators. So I always kind of keep in touch with some of the medical guys or equipment guys every once in a while. I definitely made sure that when they were in town here in Florida, I stopped in to say hello. And it's just good people, and that's from not only from the staff and the organization, but the people there. They were my second home for so many years, and I truly enjoyed and appreciated my time there.
Can you tell fans, because a lot of them aren't familiar or remember that well, what playoffs is like for this city? Because it's now, you can hear the building now. There's a rumble in the building as they inch closer to a playoff spot. You've gone through it. What's it like to play in that atmosphere?
I would say it's, simple terms, it's next level. I think the energy, the enthusiasm that comes out from the fan base into that building is exponentially greater than it is during the regular season. And the players deserve that experience. The fans deserve to go out there and give that experience. And I'm looking forward to them clinching a spot and getting into that. And it's going to be a great moment for the guys that haven't experienced it yet, and it's going to be talked about as far as obviously you're going to, if when they clinch a spot, you guys will definitely have to bring back memories of the last time they were in playoffs and the time before that, and it'll just create a nice buzz for potentially of the what if we can and start the daydream, right? You can't dream unless you get into the dance. So let the people get into the dance and let the people start dreaming.
Andy, what do you What do you think? I know we touched on Brady a little bit about his style. What do you think about the rest of the team? They made some changes. They brought some guys in. What do you think of the way this team's constructed? They get in. It looks like they're going to get in. How do you think they'll do it? I know we don't have a crystal ball, but the way they're built, you think they could have some success?
I think success rides on good goaltending and big moment energy shifts and big moment goals. If you look back at some of our runs, you had to have some big saves, you had to have some big time goals, you had to have some big time fights. Um, Speaking of fights, was Chris Neal in the New York Rangers series.
Yeah.
Took Tanner Glass
Tanner
and absolutely
Glass.
ragdolled them, and then we went and won 4 straight, I think it was. So it's going to take monumental events to shift series. It's going to, and I think there's players in that room that can do it. And you've also got a goalie that can stand on his head and steal some games too. So the makeup's there if everything kind of goes right. And again, it comes down to the timing of those events and obviously staying healthy too. That's a big one. And guys, believing in what they're doing. And then it's something that's when it's poetry in motion, when everything kind of goes the way it's supposed to go. And you look back, I guess we're going to go. Pajot scores 4 goals in 1 game. After I was awful that game, we still end up winning the game. So there's going to be moments that guys need to step up and bail each other out. Like I said, it might be a night where Linus has to pitch a 1-0 shutout and make 50 saves, and you get 15 shots on net and you win the game. Then there's going to be nights where maybe you guys get out, you outplay a team and you need to win 6-5 or something. So it's kind of taking the moment and making the most of it.
Players at this level have typically all played in big games. So is it mental when it comes to the playoffs of just try to keep it? You are always an even keel guy from everything that I can remember of you. Is that hard to do for a lot of these guys who haven't been in NHL playoffs?
Well, like you said, everyone's played in big game moments at some point in their career, right? Maybe not at the National Hockey level, maybe it's the American League level, maybe it's juniors, maybe it's wherever they may have come through. The guys that get to the National Hockey level have all had success in big moments at some point in their career. Now, think about it. Now you've got Ottawa's team of guys that have had big moment games versus the next team they're playing against have also had big moment games. So, who can rise to the top at the highest level? There's going to be guys that can do it, and there's going to be guys that are maybe, you expect more, right? So I think those big moments are based on expectations. And if you don't have high expectations for guys, I think you're going to be more wowed versus a guy you're like, oh, I expected more out of him. And he may have been playing great, but your expectation of him was way higher than what he achieved during that playoff run or that game that you thought was a big game. So I think it's it's based on perception of who's making the expectations.
Craig, I got a couple pictures to show you, and I want to ask your opinion on expectations of a young goaltender that came up through the ranks in the Maritimes. He had a very unorthodox style, and we got a couple pictures of this young, crusty goaltender by the name of Brent Wallace. And these pictures we have here right now, like, Andy, what do you think of this guy's style? Like, what kind of goalie would you picture a young Wally being?
Oh, well, I mean, can we get a date on these things? Are those
What are you on?
Oh, let's see. That's
that
got to be like
1984? What is that?
83 to 87, somewhere in there, probably.
And then you got to get the names of these teams, Andy. I think the one he's playing for the Perfection Dairy Ice Cream team, and the other one is Team Mack Truck.
Hey, Mack Trucks are good. We were great. We were Christmas tournament champs. Finished second in the league. Solid goaltending.
The one picture looks like you never played before. It looks like that's a first timer. Like, how do I hold my stick? What do
yeah.
I do? What do I do with my hands? What do I do with my hands? I don't know. I just the other one looks better. The one on the other one, maybe a little bit. You can get your feet a little bit wider, but I think that ship has sailed for you, Wally.
Those pads,
like Andy, what do you
horsehair.
do if he comes to the Craig Anderson School of Goaltending? What do you do with the guy? He's waving at somebody with his glove in the picture. Like,
Yeah, I think I'd take his money and laugh. Nah, I think everybody starts out like that at some point, right? I think, he just didn't have the proper
Very
people.
kind.
His dad obviously didn't play goalie, so he didn't know how to teach him. But
No, my dad didn't want me to play goal.
well, yeah, because the pads weigh 48 pounds each back in the day. Straight deer hair. When it gets wet, it was the worst.
It was, and so those pads got so heavy. I have a black Coho goalie stick because of Billy Smith. That's the only reason I have it. But like, there's no shoulder padding. And the Mack truck pick, it's just one of those old catcher belly pads, and then some like wings with two little foam pads on the side. It's getting crushed. So I used to tape volleyball knee pads on my shoulders to protect them a little. I was a warrior.
You were a warrior. So you're probably playing no raisies back then. No raisies allowed, boys. Come on. How old are you there anyhow? What are you, like 12 years old?
I got to figure in 12, 13, somewhere in there. The boards, by the way, it's chain link fencing. And those are individual, like 2x6s or whatever. Yeah. It looks like I'm in a whole different world. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? When did you first start playing goal, Craig? How old would you have been?
Gosh, probably 6 or 7, I would think.
So always a goalie.
I would skate out as a player. I started out, I guess it was mite A too. I don't even know what age group that is as a mite, but we would rotate 3 goalies. So you'd play forward or defense 2 games, and then you'd play goalie 1 game because we had 3 guys that would rotate. And then at one point I was like, I just want to play goalie because that's what I wanted to do. And I thought I was better than the other 2 guys. And I gave the team the best chance to win at goalie. And so I ended up being that. But in the summertime, I always, or spring hockey or summer hockey, I'd always skate out as a player. And then we got to Pee Wee. So back in the day, Pee Wee, you could start checking. And I was skating up the ice with the puck, and I got hit. And I immediately got off the ice, I think, after that game, and said, I'm done. I went back to the net and never left.
Wow.
Quickly, before I get some other questions, but I meant to ask about Dylan Cousins earlier. You played with Dylan Cousins recently, now acquired by the Ottawa Senators. What do you know about him, and what's his game like?
I know he's from the Northwest Territories.
Thanks.
Yep. And funny, like that. I mean, I guess story about the Northwest Territories. You remember? I don't know if you recall that. Was it during the 2012 lockout?
No. You went with Meth.
When was the lockout? 2012, 2013? I don't even remember when it was.
Yeah.
So there was a handful of
Buffalo
us.
Air.
Yes, there was a handful of us. Neeler, Philly, Meth, Latendresse. We all went to the Northwest Territories. And so, like, I meet Dylan Cousins in Buffalo, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, my dad and I met you when you were in Northwest Territories." I go, "Oh." So I was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I got a picture somewhere." I'm like, "Okay." Like, so that was my first kind of interaction with Dylan Cousins. Was like, "Hey, like, I met you when I was a little kid, in Northwest Territories." So, there's.
Andy, what did
Where'd
you
he
do?
go? He did what you did earlier, Wally, when we were in the green room. He pressed the wrong button.
He's a pretty tech-savvy guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
It was going so well, too. It was going so well. All right, here he comes.
Anyways, that was I guess my short side story of Dylan Cousins was that a fun trip in Northwest Territories. But anyways, Dylan's so I think he was a rookie when he was with me.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think you had 2 years with him.
I had 2 years with him, but his first year, he brings a lot of intensity, he brings a lot of skill, and some grit to his game. And I think the biggest thing that I love about Dylan is that he cares. And he's very passionate in his game and what he expects from others, and he does his damnedest to elevate um, himself and his teammates. And I think he expects a lot out of himself, and that's a good trait to have. And I think he's in the right fit, in the right situation. He's going to absolutely explode and have a terrific um, career and a terrific game from game to game. He's just an outstanding player, an outstanding person that I really enjoyed playing with him, my time with him in Buffalo.
Well, that's good to hear. So now I want to get away from hockey. I want to know if you're still. Have you updated your car? You're a Corvette guy. Do you have the latest model Corvette? Have you stopped doing that? Do you still have 42 cars in a garage somewhere? What do you have?
No, I haven't done much. I drive a pickup truck for baseball equipment going to and from the field. Um, still have, I've still got my Ferrari from when I bought back in 2012 or 13.
Oh, it's a
Sits in a
beater.
warehouse. Opposite of the truck, I've got a 24 M3. It's just easier to go on road trips or jump in the car and cruise around and easier than getting in the truck. But generally speaking, I've stayed away from those type of purchases at the moment. Waiting to biggest issue with buying a two-seater is you got a family of four, you got two kids, you got to
Yes.
go pick up. It's tends to be difficult. So that will have to wait.
So
Did you
are you
have
out of
so you-
Corvettes though?
I still have race car Corvettes. We've got
Okay.
we've got a couple that we still put on the racetrack. They're older
What
ones.
is
They're 2002s, so they're older.
Okay.
what is the fastest you've driven in kilometers, if you know,
Kilometers.
a car?
Let's see here. You got a calculator there, whatever it is. It's about 160 miles.
So have you ever been on the Autobahn?
No, I've never been to Germany.
Because Tim Stutzla said on the show, being German that he is, he's been on the Autobahn. He put his little Porsche at 330 kilometers an hour on the Autobahn.
That's what 180. That's almost. Yeah, it's a lot.
Oh, dude, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
Could you
What
see
is the
yourself doing that on the Autobahn?
Yeah, when I was 23 or 24 years old, absolutely. Maybe not so much now. But yeah, that's I mean, I think that's common practice over there. So
257 kilometers an hour is 160 miles an hour.
there you go.
Okay.
So he's got me beat.
That's right.
But he didn't have to stop he didn't have to stop to make a left-handed 90
No.
at the end of the racetrack.
If you could race one type of car, like I know you've done racing, obviously. Is F1 a big deal for you? What would be the ultimate car you could race?
Oh, the ultimate, I guess from a driver's perspective, the ultimate feeling for a race car driver is to be at the limit, whatever that limit might be. So getting in an F1 car would be great to be an experience within itself. But driving that at the limit is, there's only a handful of guys in the world that have the talent to do that. So I would say driving any car to the limit, whether it's a Miata, a Corvette, you get into the Formula 4 cars or Formula 3 cars. I think that's the most gratifying experience is when you can drive a car at the limit, not so much the acceleration. The acceleration is great, but like any Tom, Dick, or Harry can kind of go and buy a supercharged Corvette at 800 horsepower and go floor it on the highway and be like, oh, that was amazing. But they're not at the limit. And I think that's where I find enjoyment is when you kind of feel the edge of grip in the corners. And a lot of times racing is the battle side by side with somebody. It's the compete, not so much
Right.
just going fast. It's the compete. And you can get that from driving slow cars or fast cars. But I think a cool experience for somebody would be to drive a lightweight car with aerodynamics, with wings and splitters, because you can get past. So generally, most cars, you've got your mechanical grip of your tires and suspension. And then once you add the aero, and you're going beyond the edge of grip because of aero, that's kind of a cool feeling.
I'm going to put a spoiler on my Ford Escape this afternoon. It's we often ask people, hey, your ultimate golf foursome or whatever. Which 4 teammates that you played with, I'll stick to Ottawa. Which 4 teammates would you not want on your pit crew?
Not on my pit crew. That's a tough one. What made you come up with that question? I have to
I'm
go
just
through a
thinking
list,
of.
I'd have to go through a list of all the guys. You got a list of all the. How many players did I play with?
Oh,
Yes.
probably 400. There was
So
an
this
awful
is-
lot of bodies that went through Ottawa during your time.
Yeah, that's a lot of guys. You obviously want guys that you don't want guys that are very smart and can't think on their feet.
That's what I was trying to get to, the smart guys. Yeah, so it's just trying to get you to call me. We're the smart
You're
guys.
trying to get them to sewer some guys. It's all
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna defer.
Fine.
They're all good. I'd love to have all of them on his pit crew. They're all much stronger than I am, so they could throw the tires around. So
Meth could just change 2 tires by himself at once.
exactly.
All right, Andy. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Hey, Andy,
Yeah.
here's one for you. Any desire to put the pads back on and go play in like a game?
I prefer to play out, even though I'm not very good.
Yeah.
It's a good workout. I don't know. I'm not like calling around seeing if anybody needs a goalie at the moment, but I don't know.
Who do you
Generally,
skate with
no.
now?
Yeah.
There's a Sunday beer league team I was on. That's about the extent of my official game playing. Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's an afternoon skate that a bunch of old college guys or ex-pros will skate in. Some names that kind of pop through there from time to time. So that's I think it gets stronger in the summer. So I think maybe in the summer, if they're in dire need of a goalie and you've got a bunch of the current pros that are skating, maybe you could kind of coerce me to get out there for a day, but I don't know. We'll see.
Is Roberto Luongo in that league? Does he skate?
Roberto played in a playoff game, I think last year's beer league team.
Oh, right.
And it kind of broke the internet.
Yes, and he showed up. Yeah. You should do that.
No.
No fun. All right.
I'm sure there's some decent beer leagues in Canada you could probably play in and probably still get lit up because there's probably some good players up there. Florida, there's some decent players in Florida, but nothing that's earth shattering.
Somebody quickly just brought up about you. When people chanted your name in Ottawa, Andy, and I'm curious of what your reaction was to hearing fans chant Andy.
It's a good moment. I think it elevates it kind of brings some positive energy and elevates I guess it doesn't necessarily elevate your game, it elevates your want to do better. That sometimes doesn't always what you're always trying to do doesn't always work, but definitely it was a feel good moment. You make a big save and the stadium kind of gets into it and it kind of gives you that energy to continue and try to do it again. And but I don't think that wasn't your goal. I mean, I'm going to make a save so the fans can chant. I think it just kind of happened. I think the fan base they weren't tricked either, right? Like I feel like in some stadiums when the goalie makes a save, they chant their name like 4 times a period, and I'm like, well, that's not necessarily legitimate, but I think when Ottawa did it, it was legitimately warranted for a big save, and it was definitely an enjoyable moment.
Nice. All right. Well, Bestie, nice to see you again. Hope to see you soon.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Brent, and Yorkie. Nice talking to you guys, and best of luck with your next guest. Hopefully, they don't give you as much trouble as I did.
Carter Hutton, by the way, is on tomorrow's show. He's
Nice.
very nice to us. Yeah.
Nice.
Dude, good dude. Hey, Andy, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank
See
you.
pal. Thanks, Andy. Craig Anderson, the winningest goaltender of all time in Senators history.
He,
and you can tell, my best friend.
Yeah, you guys, you know what I would pay to see? Because there's certain things I would really enjoy. I would love to see you and Andy host a show together for an hour. I would love to see you two guys host a show together, and just the dynamics of how that hour would play out.
Why do I feel like you are setting me up for something?
Oh, wait. There's you and Andy, the two old guys up on the Muppet balcony. Oh god, we'd be what is it, Mortimer and what, I forget those guys' names. But somebody in the chat, what are the two names of the two old guys in the balcony? They're crusty. They're always ripping on the Muppet Show.
Walldorf and Statler.
That's right, Walldorf and Statler. You're the guy with the angry eyebrows there. Anyways, Andy, here's something. That question you asked him about the fans cheering your name. That game when Ullmark, geez, who'd they play? I was at the game and I was sitting ice level, pretty close to Ullmark. That's the first time I've heard the stadium chant for a goalie since Craig Anderson. That game when Ullmark, like, he got the standing O's and he was getting the bows from the fans. It reminded me. I was going to ask Craig, but Craig probably didn't see that game, and you know, what are you going to say? Like, he summed it up perfectly. It's like even when a player gets chanted for, it's usually a goaltender, because it's the goaltender. You know, they have that effect on the crowd. Although Pajot had it as well, Alfie had it. Certain players have that.
I feel like it was the Detroit game. Remember that 27 save second period or whatever it was?
Wow, it was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Detroit. Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. It was a Detroit game. It was a Monday. It was a Monday game, and it was Ullmark was unbelievably good. But it just reminded me of when Anderson had some of those games, because it's been so long since Ottawa's really had a bona fide number one goaltender, like since Craig Anderson.
Like, I know they brought in Cam Talbot and they brought in Matt Murray as a two-time Stanley Cup champion, but those guys just they would not, for whatever reason, and injuries and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
injuries.
So you have to go back to Craig Anderson for a consistent, bona fide, knew what you were getting night in, night out goaltender.
Yeah. No, but it takes a certain personality to play in a Canadian market. I remember Gerber, for example, when he came here, like, he was so good in Carolina, and it just didn't work out here. The Canadian market can eat guys up. It can just, if you, you know, well, if you covered the Sens for so long, I played in the market. People know it's, what did they call Ottawa? It was a goalie graveyard. It was a goalie graveyard.
But
I don't know. There's a lot of skeletons, a lot of bones flying out of the ground in Ottawa for a while with the amount of goaltenders that pass through here. But it's true. It's I'm gonna ask Craig that about playing in a Canadian market and why he was able to do it for so long and do it so well. Because obviously his personality is perfect for it. Nothing bugs him.
But let's also they also had much better teams. Is Cam Talbot a better goaltender if in front of him is Erik Karlsson, Mark Mathot, Chris Phillips?
Yeah, but you can't take away, like, Andy had a lot of big nights where he saw heavy shot volume.
Yeah, no, I don't want to say I'm taking anything away. I'm just saying, like, maybe those guys don't look as roughed up as they do when they don't give up 82 scoring chances every game.
Yeah, I just say for Craig too, key saves at key moments. And Craig Anderson for me is a goalie that thrived on a team like Ottawa because he loved the challenge. Like, you listen to him talk, like the way the way he talks about challenging and race car driving. Like, give him a challenge and he loves it, right? He's got that
Yes.
personality where he has that personality where he wants to prove you wrong.
Yes.
And that's that type of personality when you're not afraid of the moment. I think it's essential when you're playing in a Canadian market, because the moment doesn't get the best of you.
Quickly, 13 goaltenders have played for the Ottawa Senators since Craig Anderson left.
Crazy. That's crazy.
13.
That's crazy.
Anton Forsberg leads the way, 137 games.
Yeah. What do you think of Forsberg last night?
So, can I talk out of both sides of my mouth here? I thought he was really good, and then I thought he maybe should have had, like, goalies are part of the team too, so they're supposed to make saves. I don't think he should have maybe had the JBD goal. All right, but this loss to me isn't on Anton Forsberg. I thought he was fine. I didn't think he was great.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he made some key saves at key moments, like the save on the 2-on-1. He gave Ottawa an opportunity to tie that game up. He gave them an opportunity. Like, come on, they didn't score a 5-on-5, and it wasn't from a lack of opportunities. They had some chances, but end of the day, Reimer was better. So I'd put it that way. Reimer because every game when you have a battle and of the two goalies, if the other goalies outplays you, you just increases your margin of winning by that much. And Reimer played really well in that game. Like, look at the ones he took. Like, he was all friggin' stood on his head. Like, and he's like, another old goalie comes in and beats Ottawa. But
okay, Yorkie, I got to take care of some business before we move on, and I also got to give out the clue. So, golf season quickly approaching. Yorkie's probably already started. This show brought to you by Club EG Golf. It's your best bet for amazing golf this season in and around Ottawa. Just go to clubeg.golf. Check out the website. They've got multiple packages for you. It basically gives you access to 60 amazing golf courses at member-only rates. You can see all the golf courses online. They're all within, I think, maybe a 2-hour window of area of Ottawa. See them. They have Easter specials going on right now. They're also the guys that run plenty of events in and around Ottawa. You will see them basically everywhere. They cater to every golfer in the Ottawa area. Clubeg.golf. And of course, by BEI, Bonisher Excavating Inc., helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. Spring just around the corner. Maybe it's time to start thinking about landscaping, stone, aggregate, topsoil. Also, they do pave driveway or laneway, depending on which way you go with that. Give them a call, 613-432-1120. Completely competitive pricing for all your landscape needs. BEI, BonisherExcavating.com. And of course, by our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner, every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, the official partner of the National Hockey League. Download the Bet365 app today. Use code NATION, all in uppercase letters. Must be 19 years of age or older. Please play responsibly. And now you've been waiting for the last clue for the Tim Stützle jersey giveaway. We are going to announce the winner tomorrow. Here it is. Other than Ottawa, because he's never played against the Senators, which two teams, it's a clue, has Stützle not scored against?
Oh, good one.
And it's
good one, Wally.
It's got to be specific because there is two teams, although it's debatable. Okay. So send those in, all 5 answers, to cihsends@gmail.com. Tomorrow, somebody, it won't be Yorkie, you're not on the show tomorrow. I will announce the winner tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the game. And that is, people are anxious to talk about Fabian Zetterland playing on that top line. We've now seen him there for a couple of games. I believe he had 5 shots on goal last night, Yorkie. He looked like he should have buried one. There was one right in front where he couldn't get the loose puck. Yeah, I think he's looked pretty good.
Yeah, he had some great looks. And the thing I liked about his game, Wally, when he shoots the puck, he goes forward and he continues to go to the dirty area, which is great. Like, he's not afraid to play inside of traffic, and he has a knack for getting open in those soft spots in the high slot.
Yep.
Yeah, no, like the goal, like the winning goal, people could maybe point at him, but everyone's going to make mistakes defensively. He also lost his man on the one that was called back on the
People are trying to
disallowed
blame
goal.
Shabbat for that goal.
No, it's the way Ottawa plays is your high forward that's on top of that guy. And it's tough in the neutral zone. Like you need to be on top of your guys. I believe Jensen came across because he thought he had support. And then I forget what Buffalo guy blew by. But no, I thought, I think Zetterland's been good. Like he's been good. But I also think Drew's really good with Sitzla and Tkachuk. I really like Amadio, Pinto, and Ridley Gregg together. I just think that line was playing really, really well, Wally. And they were producing as well. They were producing, hard to play against. I want to see Amadio on the ice more than 6 to 8 minutes. I just think he's an important player. But they got to figure it out. And it would be nice to see Zetterland start chipping in with some goals. But the good thing is he's getting chances. So there was a step in the right direction for him. And we shall see. The thing that's going to happen too as you move along here, things are going to happen as far as injuries and as far as play goes, and it will get figured out. Right now, I find it a little bit of a tricky situation trying to find a spot for Zetterland to contribute in, because it's supposed to be goal scoring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So good thing
he's got to produce, right? Like the next 1 or 2 games, he's got to start to find something.
He's got chances. So the good thing is he got looks, he got chances. The guy works hard too. Like if you watch him, like there's certain goaltenders that get their goals because they're kind of, how do I put this? They're very relaxed on the ice and they kind of disappear. Right. And then it's not lazy. It's almost like a not caring type of attitude where it's now you see me, now you don't, you appear, you don't. Zetterland appears to me like a guy that works hard and a guy, he might be squeezing a little too tough right now too, right, Wally? Like new team, he knows he hasn't scored. He's probably just has to relax a little bit and just stop thinking about it, because he's thinking about it, and then that makes things worse.
I don't want to have this conversation, but I feel like the fan base wants to have this conversation.
No, I know. Here we go. All right. Let's have the conversation.
Is it time?
Is it time to make a change?
So why wouldn't you even have tried Dennis Gilbert last night? Again, I know it's not a time to experiment. I didn't think he was that. I've watched him in practice. I didn't think he's that bad. I don't know why. If everybody else outside the world can see or feels like they can see that Travis Hamonic is right on par with Matt and Paolo, why maybe we not try Nick, Matt, and Paolo?
Yeah.
That being said, I quickly want to add, Matt and Paolo is not this great upgrade to Travis Hamonic.
I will say this, as far as Matt and Paolo's game has gone, I think it's lost a little bit of momentum to where he was playing, to where he was the last little while. And ice time is the biggest indicator. Like you can tell the coaches, not that they're losing confidence in him, it's just I don't think he's been as sharp as he was when he was going through that nice little run. Well, people will say, well, neither is Hamonic. Again, I think that this situation will play out, but you can't sugarcoat that last goal. Like two mistakes, Zetterland loses his guy. Hamonic leaves in front of the net and tries to block. And if you're going to leave, you got to block that shot. He knows that. Like, listen, he knows that's his guy. I'll be interested to see what happens against Detroit. I'm not a big fan of 7D, and they won't be able to go 7D to do that anymore, because that's what they were doing before. Instead of making a decision, they would go 7D, but then you'd have to figure out who you're taking out in that. I suppose they could do Highmore and go 7D, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a move's made next game, Wally. It wouldn't surprise me.
Would you have started Linus Ullmark
last night? Yeah. I thought he was starting. If it was me, probably. I just like the way he was playing lately. I'm not putting that game on Forsberg though. Like I'm not putting.
I'm not. But my thought process is, regardless of how Anton Forsberg plays,
Yeah.
Linus Ullmark has shown he can steal more games this season than Forsberg to me.
Yeah.
So
I just
you
think
just need to put points on the board right now.
Yeah. I
That's
get it. I
why.
get it. Like it would have been nice if Ottawa comes away with at least a point. Man, if they get 2, they're up to 81, and that's big with everybody that lost last night. That gives you a lot of breathing room, and then perhaps you can talk about maybe giving Brady a rest. But all of a sudden, man, if you lose this game against Detroit, and a couple of those teams behind you pick up points, like that starts to get uncomfortable again, Wally. Like look at
Right.
it's not as cozy as people think. Like this is it's nice. A lot of teams are going to be beating each other, so they're going to drop back just by playing each other. But for Ottawa, like you got to keep winning games here. So would I have started Allmark? I can see where the coaches were going because Ottawa lately hasn't played extremely well against the bad teams. Like they've been like look at Buffalo for example. That's their third loss against them. They just seem to play like I thought they played really well against New Jersey, but that's a team above them in the standings. Like so I can see where the thought process and Forsberg's last yes, he's been good when called upon. So and you got to play him sooner or later. Like you're going to need him down the stretch. I don't hate the decision, Wally, to tell you the truth. It's to me it wasn't the worst decision.
Okay. What else? There was David Perron was just another guy I was just gonna get to.
He's been so good. He's been
Right.
so good. He's just been money lately. You know what? You can just tell this guy. I'll tell you what. The older you get, the more you appreciate being in the league. You just know it's not going to last forever, and every game just means so much to you. And you can tell he's playing every game like now, right? Like it could be his last, and that's a great way to go about playing. I just think people are now seeing why they went out and got him, and it's paying off. Like I think he's been one of the best players lately, playing gritty, playing hard, scoring, and leading. He's been really, really good.
I don't know if you heard post game chat, but him and Brady basically summed up of Brady not happy, knew they should have had this game, felt they basically lost it themselves. Does that make you want to bounce back? Like
If you're those guys?
This Detroit game, like you got the dads on the trip. You need this win. They didn't, for me, Yorkie, that game just wasn't urgent enough for them. They played enough to win. They didn't play urgent enough to put Buffalo away. They were all over them in the first. And then they just kind of said, you know what? I think we got this. And maybe I'm wrong because I'm not playing in the game, but it just felt like they just coasted through that. Too easy to play against. They were too easy.
Yeah. They're not. It's not a mindset they're going in with. I give Buffalo some credit. Like they played hard. It's a lot easier in Buffalo's situation right now. They're playing like a team that's, you know what, guys, we can't get any worse. Let's just go out there and play. And the goaltender, like Reimer, goes out and has himself one of his best games of the year. Of course, Jacob Bernard-Docker, who got traded, gets a goal. Like, the puck bounces, an uncharacteristic clear by one of the best players in Ottawa. Sanderson goes right to a guy. He spins around and just throws it to the slot that ends up on Jack Quinn's stick, who gets another goal against. Like, it just seemed anytime there was a kind of mistake, Buffalo capitalized. They were loose. Like, to your point, you got guys on that team that are playing loose, and then you got a guy like Zetterland. Like, he's not really playing loose right now because he wants to do well. And sometimes when you want it so bad and you want to have success and you want to succeed, you can actually do more harm than good because I'll guarantee you the coaches are saying, just relax, play your game. You're getting chances. Eventually you're going to go in. And that's what they got to do. Like, you got to play hard, but at the same time, you got to find a way to relax. And I think if I was to throw some money down, Wally, and if I was going to pick a game, I'll guarantee you Ottawa's going to come out against Detroit and play that style you're talking about when it looks like they really, really want, because they always really, really want it. But I'll guarantee you they come out and it'll be lights out to start this next game.
Well, I need Timmy to start scoring. That's one thing I need.
Yeah,
they need to score 5-on-5.
Yeah, he pulled one off the crossbar last night. Like he's still generating. But yeah, I think, and Ottawa for the most part, like over the last couple of years, has been good against Detroit. Like they seem to match up well against them. So I would I would predict a very good effort's coming.
Need Tim. Unfortunately, it's not James Reimer in goal tomorrow against Detroit. He needs Tim to knock that puck out of the air like he did in Sweden against Reimer. That's what they need against Detroit.
Yep. To me, that's probably the game. What did he say? That's the game. That's the goal he remembers the most in his career when he knocked that one out of the air.
Great pictures of it. All right. So, Yorkie, safe travels home. We'll see you Monday. Big guests. Well, one of them lined up for next week anyway. I'll save it. I'll keep it a surprise.
Okay.
But ties to the Ottawa Senator history. We'll go there.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Carter Hutton will join the show tomorrow, as will Graham Nichols, who's driving back from Buffalo as we speak. So until tomorrow, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you then. 9 a.m.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.